All right, we are headed to the Harlan Park today for what is a positive story. Recently, the park got a grant, and part of that grant money was used to buy all new aluminum bleachers for the baseball diamonds, which have been in much need, much demand for a long time, as our old wooden and steel bleachers have slowly decayed to the point of being unsafe. So we are headed to the park now. I'm not sure how we're going to move the new bleachers. Dad thinks he has a way to do it. The weather's less than perfect, but I think with enough people, and we've got the backhoe and my 755 with a loader, we might have to go get a Bobcat before it's all done, but we're going to try to get these old bleachers out and the new bleachers in. I'm going to take you back to the beginning and show you a little bit about how these bleachers came to be. It's cool. All right, stick around.
Dig Drive DIY.
These are our small town ball diamonds. They're the foundation of Harlan Community Park. You could replace the word community with DIY, because almost everything that gets done in our park is a homegrown effort. There's no parks and recreation department, and there's no city utilities to maintain the grounds here. Matter of fact, we are technically a privately owned, self-funded park that's just open to the public. So we rely heavily on donations, fundraising, and of course, a dedicated multi-generational group of DIY-minded volunteers. The mindset comes from an ever-present need to conserve our resources. So naturally, when Harlan was awarded a county grant to make some large capital improvements, the first thing we asked was, how could we stretch our dollar? Bleachers in a ballpark are just one of those things I took for granted. I don't think I ever paid any attention to where I was going to sit down at any given ball diamond, as long as it didn't look dangerous. And that's exactly the problem we had in Harlan. There were lots of bleachers and plenty of places to sit, but the conditions were getting unsafe. Brand new aluminum bleachers were high on our wish list. They would save us time with less required maintenance, give the park a fresh and modern new look, and most importantly, provide a safe place to take a seat and enjoy the ball game. And these were expensive, more than we could have ever raised on our own. So we were grateful for the opportunity to receive the funding, but the DIY spirit, it's hard to shake. If we saved money here, we could use it for other projects like a new playground and a larger parking lot. So when we heard it was going to cost $12,000 to $15,000 just to have the bleachers professionally assembled on our site, well, all the cordless drill trigger fingers twitched on every DIY dad of our volunteer crew.
All the 4-row 15-footers are put together. We're trying to figure out the 27-foot 5 rows, and there's 8 of those.
The small bleachers were done first, so we scattered those throughout the park for immediate use where we knew they would be needed for the remainder of the fall.
All right, so we got those hauled over and moved in here for now, temporarily.
But now the real challenge was going to be figuring out a way to move the large bleachers once they were all done. All 4 of the big ball diamonds would get 2 bleachers each. We needed to traverse the gravel parking lot and be able to easily maneuver some of them into really tight spaces. Dad said he had a plan to move them, so we turned our attention to the next big task.
We got lots of work to get done. So our crew is assembled. This is our bleacher excavation and installation crew. We're going to remove all the old bleachers first, then we're going to start carrying the new bleachers into place. I still haven't seen this buggy. They keep talking about a buggy to move the new bleachers. So we're going to have a big buggy reveal in just a little bit. So they're going to get to work and I'm going to go get the skid loader. Get to work.
Out with the old to make way for the new. It was pretty easy to get all the old bleachers moved out, but now we weren't quite sure what to do with them. It was going to be a lot of work just to scrap them out, so we just decided to stack them up out of the way for now. Hopefully we'll find time to deal with them later, after ball season. Once the old bleachers were gone, we needed to level up the gravel pads where each of the new bleachers would permanently sit because, well, it had never been done before. Some of those old ones were really out of level. They could be uncomfortable to sit on even. It was surprising the amount of stone it took to get it all leveled up. The first 2 bleacher sets alone took 10 tons each. That's an entire triaxle load just for 2 bleachers. But after some filling, grade checking, and final leveling, we were ready to try to move the big 27-footers into place. It was time to put Dad's buggy to the test, although we still weren't sure if it was really going to work or not. We needed to be able to pull the bleachers lengthwise to get them into place. We did consider trying to carry them from both ends with 2 skid steers, but figured that would get tricky at times. So Dad fabbed up a special dolly that would fit underneath one end of the bleachers.
So, you want to put it under this end or that end?
Well, that's what we're deciding.
The wheels swiveled so we could maneuver it in any direction.
Good, Jack?
Yeah. Oh!
Here, Jack. You ready?
Yeah. Now, go. Does that look like it's going to work? I think it looks awesome. Dad?
On the other end, he built a cradle with a hook so that we could easily pick up the end and distribute the load across a wider span of the subframe. In theory, it looked like it all might just work. That is, as long as those little wheels would hold up to the weight.
Stop!
Over here, Jack.
Okay. Okay, hold it. Close to the dugout?
It took a couple of bleachers to get a system worked out, but by the third one, we had it down to a science. These bleachers were going to be pretty easy to get moved into their permanent position with the dolly and all the help we had. And the park was quickly beginning to transform with the addition of all that fresh aluminum flanking each of the ball diamonds. We did what we could on that first day, and then continued with the remaining bleachers during our annual park cleanup day the following weekend.
So we got 2 loads of 53s and a load of stone sand. All right, now I got some stone to use and we'll get that all leveled up.
We're here in the park on park cleanup day, and there's another great turnout, and it's fantastic. People working on ball diamonds. I'm hauling stone. We're trying to get the rest of the bleacher pads leveled up so that those can all be set today. I don't know, it's going great. That's the last bleacher right there to get put in place. Finally got them all done.
By the end of cleanup day, all the bleachers were set in place. We were almost ready for our big opening day, but there was one last order of business. I wanted to dress things up with some fresh top coating of clean stone, so we brought in the Bobcat again and my trusty friend Brutus.
Bobcat. He's going to move some of this stone. We want to get this all leveled up and graded out around the new bleachers. I ordered stone in and I had just enough to build the pads for all the bleachers. And then we didn't get everything dressed up around it. So you can see that they're elevated up high above the ground. And what we're going to try to do is transition this all down away from the bleachers, fill in these loose areas, and then we'll grade it up with Brutus in the pull-type grader box once we're done and try to make it look really nice. Good morning and welcome to our 2022 baseball and softball opening ceremony for Harlan Park. We're going to ask that the coaches bring their teams out on the field and line up on the baselines. One of the other things you may notice are some brand new aluminum bleachers. And that was part of what that grant went towards as well. There are $77,000 worth of bleachers right here. We were able to save about $12,000 to $15,000 if we assembled the bleachers ourselves. A group of volunteers, they're all the retired guys that like to hang out down here and mow the grass. We gave them a new task to build these bleachers, and they look fantastic.
Unless you've been tasked with an opportunity like this, bleachers in a ballpark would understandably be easy to take for granted. But that doesn't mean they're not important. Actually, it's quite the opposite. They could be the most important because of what I've recently come to understand. You see, playing baseball in this park was likely one of the most enjoyable things I did as a kid. But that boy never would have imagined that watching your kids play ball here would be even more enjoyable.
Okay, Eva, let's get a hit. Let's go. There you go. Take your time, Ella. There you go.
As a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite things to do.
We're here at the last game of the regular season for the Harlan Park. It's about 10:30 at night, and this has turned out to be a good game. Bleachers seem to be working pretty good.
Oh, by the way, remember all those junky bleachers we wanted to throw away? Turns out the church next door needed some new football field bleachers. We were able to help them out with that.
It's tied up 12 to 12, bottom of the seventh. Wow. Well, the bleachers work great. What a way to end the regular season here in the park. So our big oldest boys team won the final championship. So thanks so much for clicking on this video. If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Nothing?
Nothing.
That's a frequency you can't hear.
Yeah. We ain't got time for this filming shit. We got work to get done.